It's summer, maybe 1969, maybe 1971. You're 10 years old, give or take. It's already warm by 9 in the morning. You've eaten your cereal in front of the TV. Saturday cartoons are over. Your mother's told you to go outside. The screen door bangs shut behind you, and then nothing. No camp. No practice. No play date scheduled by somebody's app. No device in your pocket. Just the whole day sitting there in front of you like an empty field. Unstructured, unscheduled, yours. You probably stood there for a minute, not sure what to do with it. And then you figured something out. What did you do with it? Maybe you built something. Fort in the woods, a ramp for your bike, something out of that scrap wood your dad had stacked behind the garage. Maybe you wandered. Maybe you knocked on a neighbor's door looking for cookies, or ended up 3 blocks away by noon without telling anybody exactly where you were going. Maybe you just laid in the grass and stared at clouds until something occurred to you. The point is, something occurred to you. Because when there's nothing to do, the mind starts working. It starts making connections, inventing games, solving problems nobody's assigned. It gets creative not because creativity was scheduled, but because there was nothing else to do. That's not a small thing. That's actually a pretty significant thing. We called it boredom. But it wasn't really boredom in the way we use that word now. Now boredom means the Wi-Fi's slow. It means there's nothing good on any of the 12 streaming services we've got. It means the phone battery's at 4% and the charger's in the other room. What we had in those summers was something different. It was unstructured time, open space, the absence of input. And as it turns out, the human brain, especially the young human brain, does some of its most important work in exactly that kind of space. Psychologists who study creativity and cognitive development have developed a name for this. They call it mind wandering. And it turns out mind wandering isn't wasted time. It's when the brain consolidates memory, makes unexpected connections, and generates the kind of original thinking that doesn't happen when every moment's filled with stimulation. We didn't know that then. We just knew we were bored. But our brains were working. Those summers had a particular texture. But honestly, it wasn't just summers. It was Saturday mornings after the cartoons ended. It was the long stretch of Christmas break after the presents had been opened and there was nothing left to do but figure something out. It was the random Tuesday afternoon in October when you got home from school at 3 o'clock and you had 4 hours until dinner. The whole childhood had that quality. Unscheduled, unstructured, yours. The rhythm of the whole neighborhood shifted when kids weren't in school. Bikes appeared out of nowhere. Somebody's older brother had come out with a transistor radio. The ice cream truck had a route that you had memorized. Dinner was whenever your mother called you in from wherever you ended up. There was a freedom in it that's hard to describe to someone who didn't live it. Not because your parents didn't care. They cared. But because the expectation was that you'd figure it out. That you were capable of filling your own time. That getting a little scraped up or sunburned or lost was part of the deal. You were trusted with your own boredom, and that trust taught you something. Think about what you actually learned in those hours. You learned to negotiate, not in a boardroom, in a vacant lot with 8 kids who all wanted to play a different game. You learned to lose without going home. You learned to build something with your hands when the materials weren't quite right. You learned that if you were bored enough, eventually you'd invent something to do. And that invention was yours. You learned resilience in the most ordinary way possible, by having nothing to do and doing something anyway. Nobody taught you these things directly. There was no curriculum. The curriculum was the empty afternoon. Now, here's where I want to be honest about something. I'm not going to do the thing where I tell you everything was better back then and kids today are ruined. That's not true and it's not fair. But I do think we traded something real. And I think we traded it without quite realizing what we were giving up. The average American child today has a schedule that would have looked incomprehensible to us at 10. Structured activities, organized sports, supervised play dates, and screens filling every single gap. The unstructured hours, the screen door banging shut hours are largely gone. Not because parents don't love their kids, because the culture shifted, because busyness became a sign of good parenting, because the empty afternoons started to feel like a failure of planning rather than a gift. And screens did the rest. When boredom arrives now, the phone's there before the mind has a chance to wander, before something can occur to you, before the brain does its quiet work. We didn't have that option. As it turns out, that was a gift we didn't know we were receiving. So here's what I want to leave you with. You already know what unstructured time felt like. You lived it for entire summers, for entire weekends, for entire school breaks. You know what it produced in you. You know what it felt like to figure something out that nobody assigned you to figure out. That capacity didn't leave when childhood ended. It's still there. It doesn't get much room anymore. What would it look like to give it some room? Not a retreat, not a program, just a morning without an agenda, a walk without a podcast, sitting on the porch without the phone, letting the mind wander somewhere it hasn't been in a while. You might be surprised what occurs to you. The screen door bangs shut. The cartoons were over. The whole day was sitting there, and you figured something out. You still can. I'm glad you're here. Let's keep finding the extraordinary in the ordinary together. I'll see you on the next watch.